Hey there folks, Angus here from Audio Media and welcome to my Marketing Masterclass for health professionals. Now the goal of these short videos is really simple. It's to give you a what's working now or a deep dive into the strategies that'll help you reach out into your community in a heart-centered way that'll help to build more goodwill, more authority, more expertise, and maybe even a little bit of celebrity so your phone rings more often. So there's more people in your community who are wanting to come and see you for your great work. Now I get it, this whole concept of marketing can be really overwhelming. We've got patients to look after, we've got staff to run, and when it comes to marketing, it's really easy to want to kind of stick your head in the sand. So what better place to start than with the golden rule of marketing? Now here's the good news. If there's only one strategy that you kind of implemented into your community outreach, into your marketing, if it was this golden rule, then you'll do really, really well with your marketing. Now the golden rule isn't anything new. It's been around maybe for 100 years. It's really hard to find who was the first person that said this as well. So let's dive into it. What's the golden rule of marketing? It's this. The more people who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. There it is. The more people who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. Now, it's one thing to know the golden rule. It's another thing to know how to implement it. So how do I put this into place? So that's what we're going to do in this short video here. Let's have a look at these three categories of know, like, and trust. And I want to give you a couple of action steps that you can start to implement, maybe even today, to have you building more goodwill, more authority, expertise into your community as well. Because this is ultimately what will give people the confidence to want to get on the phone and actually ring our practice. So let's start with this concept of how do we get people to actually know us? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we're showing up often, okay? Now, when we think about, there's a concept called the buyer's journey, okay? And this is a cycle that it takes somebody to have enough confidence that they're okay getting on the phone and ringing you. And what we know is that this buying cycle, as time goes on, gets longer and longer and longer. That somebody needs to see more of you and more of you more often before they have the trust. We'll talk about that in a moment. To actually want to come into our practices. It's a really, really big deal. Now, if you're only showing up in your emails or online or whatever way that you're reaching out to your community, if you're doing that irregularly, if you're only doing that maybe once or twice a month, you're just not showing up often enough to get somebody all the way through. So I think about the relationships that I'm wanting to build with people in my community the same way as the relationships that I want to have with my children, with my wife, and with my friends. And if I'm not showing up consistently, I can't expect to build an authentic relationship. So showing up often, what does that mean? Well, I think at the very least, you should be reaching out to your community at least once a day. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to be writing epic blog posts every day or posting 3, 4, 5-minute videos every day. It could be just a simple post sharing what's going on inside your practice. It might be a photo of what's happening behind the scenes. And yes, at least once a week, I want you making a video, maybe a little bit like this one. But if we're not showing up often, we don't get enough touch points to actually build our relationships. Now, even if we are showing up often, the social media platforms are so busy now that it's really easy to get lost. In fact, with business pages, which is what this one is that you might be watching this now, or maybe you're listening over on the podcast, is that most of the way that we're reaching out is through our business pages. And the reach of those on average at the moment is about 6%. So that means if you have 100 followers, to keep the maths really simple, you create some great content, only 6 of them see it. Now, the best way to get over this is you need to come into step number 2, is you need to be prepared to pay to play. So that means we need to be hitting that boost button. We need to be getting into the ads manager. We need to be investing back in actually paying money to have our community seeing our content. Now, the great news is this doesn't mean that we have to be spending hundreds of dollars each week. In fact, I teach my students $1 a day. You'll be blown away with what hitting that boost button and just spending $1 per day will do. It means that your content runs through that cycle again and again, so we're much more likely to be showing up more often, okay? So we want people to know us, show up often, and be prepared to pay to play. $1 a day is what I want you thinking about. We want more people to like us as well. Now, when I think about liking, the first thing I want you to think about is this, and it's be like them. You know what? When it comes to liking people, we like people like us. In some ways, we're really quite egotistical like this. But think about it, this is how it works. Remember the last time that you were at a party and you got chatting to somebody and you found out that you had something in common? Maybe it was a sport that you liked, maybe it was a holiday place, maybe it was a car that you drove. When we have things in common with the person that we're talking to, when we feel like that they like the same things that I do, we feel really understood. Now, what this means is that when we're creating content, we need to first decide who we're creating the content for. Because everybody's different. We can't be likable or we can't be like everyone. So if we're choosing that we're going to create a piece of content maybe for people that's having headaches, then we want to be able to articulate what life is like for them. You know, the frustration of waking up first thing in the morning with a headache, or maybe not being able to get through your day looking after your children, or maybe get through your day at work, or maybe you find that it's zapping your energy as well. When we can describe what somebody's life is like better than what they can, then there's a level of connection that happens. There's a level of likability that happens there as well. Now, the second point here is that we need to be prepared to go slowly though. We can't, when I think about marketing, I think of it a bit like a dating process. When I'm walking into a bar, this is bad. Definitely don't be taking dating advice from me because I'm the worst at it in the world. I'm happily married now, but I'm told that walking into a bar and asking the very first person that you see there to marry you is probably not a great strategy if you're after marriage as well. You're probably going to get more slaps if you do that as well. But if we go up to a person that we find that there's attraction or some kind of connection to, if we ask to buy them a drink, if we take the relationship slowly, then move it on to maybe a date and then a movie and then dinner and all those kind of things there, that's the best way to build a long and authentic relationship. We need to be doing the same thing with our social media outreach, with our email campaigns, with our community talks. We need to be taking it slowly. And as I mentioned beforehand with regards to showing up often, you know, it's not unusual for it to be 30 touch points before somebody's going to have the confidence in you to reach out to you. Now, the third point I want to talk about here is perhaps the most important for us as natural health practitioners. Research continues to show that online trust continues to plummet, and particularly trust in health practitioners, and then particularly trust in natural health practitioners, because there's so many people out there making these incredibly wacky claims. Now, when we don't have somebody's trust, they're going to thumb straight past you. They're not going to listen to what you're going to say, and they're certainly not going to come and follow through with your invitations to come into your practice. So when it comes to building trust, what I want you to think about first of all is that you need to go first. So what do I mean by that? We need to be prepared to be reaching out to our audience. And sometimes that means reaching out when nobody is watching. Sometimes that means making a live video when there's zero there. Maybe it's just your mum or your brother and sister that are watching. But if we're not going first, and again, trust comes a lot from also showing up often. Think about the last person that you might have investigated online. You might have found some content that you liked. You might have jumped on over to their Facebook page or maybe their Instagram or their website. If they were really irregular way they're posting, if they weren't, and I'll get into this next point at the moment, if they weren't the one that was reaching out first, if they're waiting for you, then you're going to be having a hard time with your social media outreach. And it really, this jumps into this here, which is this next concept of you need to be incredibly generous. So that means don't hold back. You know, we talked about reaching out to the community who might be suffering with headaches. If we're generous with our content, then the best way to think about this is what kind of content can I create for this person that's going to get them a step closer to the health outcome that they're looking for. So the headache sufferer, it's simple. They want less headaches. So I could talk with them about hydration. I could talk with them about what stretches they could be doing. I could talk with them about their sleep postures. I could talk with them about sleep. You know, what are the strategies where I can be generous with the knowledge that I have to help get them that one step closer to the health outcome that they're after. Now, when it comes to having people know you, like you, and trust you, I love video. For this reason through here, it's really easy to get that knowing, liking, and trusting through that one medium as well. Now, there are 3 videos that you should be making, and in a training pack next week's, I'll take you through the exact videos that you should be making. Now, I know for many of you, the concept of making videos can be a little bit overwhelming. Now, perhaps you're an introvert, maybe you go into tech overwhelm, or maybe you're a baby boomer and this whole world of online stuff is completely new for you. Now, I know exactly how you feel. It's taken me a long time to feel confident standing in front of a camera and getting over the tech overwhelm. And one of the things that helped me understand video better was understanding the framework of a video. Now, if you're wanting to make a video, and I think you should be making videos because it really helps with this concept of know, like, and trust there as well, then one of the things that will help you through is I have a 5-part video framework that takes you all the way through the introduction. Like, how do you introduce when you know how to start a video off? And we've got to start our video in the right way that it grabs attention. That's the most important part of your video when someone's thumbing through Instagram or YouTube or on any of the social media platforms. If we can't stop them in the introduction, then they're not going to get all the way through to the call to the action, which is where you're going to invite them into the practice. So in the 5-part video framework, I'll show you how to start a video up. I'll show you also then how to deliver your content in a way that engages people all the way through. And then of course, at the end, I'll show you how to do a proper call to action. Now, if you want to get the 5-part video framework, then all you need to do is head on over to adiomedia.com/video. Let me have your name and details and I'll send that straight to you as well. So, in essence, the golden rule says this: our focus with our community outreach, with our marketing, is to have as many people as possible knowing you, liking you, and trusting you. Think about these steps that we talked through. Start to make some videos. It's a great way to accelerate that whole process. Now, as always, gang, thanks so much for all that you do. Keep saving lives. Your community really needs you. And if you've got any questions, then ask them down beneath here. I love helping with this stuff. See you soon. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now, you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.